inspiration for the name came from the fact that the first bags were made here on Rat Island, and a local doctor suggested that we call them rat bags, and that name stuck. Everything that we sell, we make ourselves. We employ young local people, and quite often they'll then go on and do something in crafting or sewing themselves later on in life.
I started the sail-making business in Scilly when I arrived in 1969-70. Sail-making started in a very small way, just repairing dinghy sails and so on. And then soon it became quite a lot bigger, with yacht sails coming in from visiting yachts.
And awnings and larger items. And in fact, the awnings that you made, the offcuts from those became the first rat bags. It was a nice way to introduce the rat bags into the scene. The inspiration was partly down to your sister coming back from America from her travels when she was younger, and having seen the bags that they made in the States. She was inspired by their patterns and their designs, and she kind of inspired the first bags, really.
That was the main on the East Coast. They've got a very similar setup. They have lots of sail makers for the yachting industry, and they've got a well-established canvas bag manufacturing industry, and they make lovely bags, and they still do, I know.
To make a rat bag, we have a cutter employed full-time, whose only job is to cut out the bags. And then we have 2 sewers. Putting a bag together can take as little as 10 minutes, depending on the complexity of it. It's a fairly straightforward process where we sew the zips on and the webbing on first, and then joining the zips together, we put the ends on and create something beautiful. We actually use all of our own offcuts as we go, so there's very little wastage as we're going along. If we're making larger bags, we end up with quite small pieces that are handy to make pockets and things for smaller bags. So we do try and use up every little scrap that we produce, which is great, so we don't have to throw anything away. And also, likewise, with the sail making, sometimes if they have larger offcuts from the sail loft here, we can use those to make the bags and sell in the shop.
Yeah, the canvas is quite an expensive raw material nowadays, so we do tend to use.
Yeah, and it's quite difficult to get now.
Yeah.
So we don't waste any.
And we recycle it, of course.
Yeah, and anything that's left that's little, we give to the schools, and we put in a box and ask people to help themselves for making artworks and things, which is quite nice. We do encourage people to choose their own colours, but we do produce a nice stock with a huge variation of colours for people to choose from, and our inspiration comes from our surroundings, really, from the sea, the sky and the sand, and we try and use natural colours. We make some clothing items. We make smocks, hats, we've made aprons for crafting, and all sorts of bespoke items we're asked for occasionally. Well, I was born here, but Keith came when he was early 20s.
I'd come here as a child on holiday. The sea, obviously, was the attraction for me. I'm a sailor. Scilly was an ideal choice, and it was available.
The inspiration for the name came from the fact that the first bags were made here on Rat Island in the sail loft. A local doctor suggested that we call them rat bags, and that name stuck. Everything that we sell, we make ourselves, and we employ young local people who we can train to make the bags.
It is quite important that it's an island industry and we don't import knickknacks.
We employ young local people, and quite often they'll then go on and do something in crafting or sewing themselves later on in life.